and I have both been able to kind of see this happen all across a variety of different industries. There are times when workers have the power.
Yeah.
March right down there and tell them we're going to need a raise. And by the way, I won't be here on Fridays. And then there's times when the business has all the power.
Yeah.
Not only are you not getting anything, we expect you to be here on Saturday. I think we've seen this switch kind of quickly. COVID put a lot of the power back in the hands of the employees. Places were desperate for workers. They were hanging on by a thread. They couldn't afford to go out and hire people, retrain. What's it going to take to get you to stay? You know, how can we retention bonus, whatever. I think those days are over. I think those days are over. And we're seeing now that if you think the 40-hour work week isn't fair, if you think that return to office mandates aren't fair, there are a lot of companies and a lot of managers out there that, quite frankly, don't care.
They don't care anymore. That pendulum has absolutely shifted. Yeah. And I think it's becoming a bit of a shock to a lot of folks that became really comfortable with the perks, with the flexibility,
the lifestyle,
with the freedom that came with the pandemic.
There you go.
And I think what we're seeing right now is, listen, when you are in a job, when you have not just a job, but like a career, right? It's kind of like a relationship.
Okay.
There are these unspoken agreements. Some are spoken, some are unspoken.
All right.
You do this, you get that, right?
Got it.
And it's the social contract that we have. But somewhere along the line, that got a little fuzzy. And it got fuzzy, I think, for the employee. In the pandemic, where they're like, okay, I want the paycheck, right? If I do this, I want the paycheck. That's always been what the social contract is.
Every 2 weeks, I expect a little something, something.
But then it evolved into, and I want the freedom. I want to ignore the parts that I don't like.
Right. I want to pick and choose.
And that's not how jobs or life works.
I thought this was interesting. How about this? This is a human resources director, an HR director, was commenting about this. She said, I wish employees would stop asking for, even demanding, 4-day work week. She was at her wit's end trying to explain to them that it didn't work for the business. And she finally got exasperated. And apparently she said, this discussion is over. This business operates 5 days a week. End of story.
Okay.
We're not doing a 4-day work week.
What's fascinating to me is that she entertained the conversation for as long as she did.
Yeah.
Until she became so exacerbated that she kind of dropped the hammer on it. That, as a mom, kind of harkens to parenting. Look at what happens in parenting a lot of the times. I see a lot of parents negotiating with their kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. No, we're not going to do that.
Bargaining and negotiating.
They over-explain. They want you to understand. I come in as the parent going, no, that's just not happening.
I came in like a wrecking ball.
That's me. But a lot of parents don't operate that way.
Yeah.
So when you're in the office, are they not operating that way? Are they still negotiating instead of having that hard line?
Do you know what the Skims is?
Oh yeah, totally.
The shapewear company, is that a fair way to put it?
Well, it's Kim Kardashian.
Okay. The co-founder of it.
She got in some hot water recently.
She recently cut more than 1,000 jobs, and her quote was, "Work-life balance is your problem, not our problem." All right. The CEO of Starbucks talking about the corporate staff having to be back in the office. He told him, quote, it's time to step up and own whether or not this place grows. How about this? Jamie Dimon, he's the CEO of JP Morgan, and he had a profanity-laced internal meeting, as it was described. And he told employees who were worried about the return to work mandate that he had for them, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a negotiation anymore at a lot of places.
I was having a conversation on the sideline of a soccer game with another mom whose company that she works for is having a return to work mandate.
Okay.
And she is one of the head honchos that has a bunch of people underneath her.
Got it. Executive level.
And she was talking about just the pushback and the complaints that she was getting from everyone because, well, I live far away. Now I've got to have to spend gas. I have kids. What am I going to have to pay for childcare? And she and I both looked at each other and were like, that's what we did.
That used to be a thing for everybody, by the way.
That's called a job.
Yeah.
If you live too far away, move.
Or
quit.
Spend a lot of time in the car.
Or find another job.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's interesting to me with all of these CEOs that you're talking about. This isn't personal. This isn't personal against the employee. It's a job description.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the job description, that's fine.
So I think the problem is a lot of businesses change the job description temporarily. And they want to go back and people, they want to go back to the way it was. And employees think they're losing something. They don't think they gained something with being able to work at home or all these other, or 4-day work weeks. They didn't gain anything. They think they're losing something now that they're going back to the old way. Is that fair?
Well, that's probably what's in their mind. I just remember working at this very radio station years, like decades ago. Different news director.
She was 8 at the time.
Yeah, right. And they were changing my hours.
Oh, okay.
They said, okay, this is the job. They were changing my hours and they were changing what I was doing. And I remember I was in my early 20s, mid-20s, and I was like, well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to work those hours.
Okay.
I did not want to work those hours. And I remember him looking at me and going, that's fine. But these are the hours that job works.
Right.
So if you don't want to work these hours, that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to continue to work here, these are the hours you're going to work.
Listen, this workplace is perfectly cut out for me to go back into management, okay? Because that is exactly how I used to manage people.
But I mean, like, I learned that in my 20s.
I used to tell people, we are a for-profit industry. Let's get that straight.
Absolutely.
Okay? We are in business to do business, all right? And you're either contributing to the enterprise and growing our business, or you're sucking from it, okay? And I can only tell you that we're not looking for the people that are sucking the business dry, okay? We are looking for people that are contributing to it. And we will pay you every 2 weeks for this.
It's
That's
called
the deal.
a job.
That's the social contract we have.
And
that's why they call it going to work, not going to fun.
There is that.
Okay?
There is that. And back in the day, like, if it didn't work for you, you quit.
Absolutely. You could go do something else.
You didn't try to get the job to change while you're in it and make it what you want it to be. I mean, I tried that in my 20s. I said, I didn't want that, and I learned really quick. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to like it. But if you're going to work here, this is the way it looks.
I had an employee once come in, and we've since moved past this, just so you know.
Okay, do I know this employee?
You might.
Okay.
They came in and with a salary demand.
Oh, okay.
That was double what they were currently making.
I'm sure that went over very well.
And I sat there and I prided myself on not screaming. I sat there, I listened, I pretended like I was taking notes. I wasn't really taking notes.
Pretended. You're just doodling.
I was writing things down like, good luck.
Bruce St. James. Bruce St. James.
And we got to the end of it and I said, okay, what are your expectations coming out of this meeting then? Where do we go from here? Well, I need to know an answer by the end of the week. Okay. And if the answer isn't what you want, where are we? Well, then I'm probably going to leave. I go, let's just cut to the chase right now because there's absolutely no way we're paying you that. There is no world in which that's going to happen. You aren't going to get double what you're making. Now, there are raises. There are merit basic. Absolutely there are. But if you have to make double or you're leaving, today's your last day. Let me just help. I'll help you. I got just think this. There isn't a business out there that you're bigger than they are.
Have you noticed how the bluntness in the workforce has diminished?
I miss it.
I worked for some very blunt managers
well, as you
in
can
my
tell,
day.
There's plenty of people that work for Blunt Bruce. I got Brucifer as that is I liked Brucifer as a nickname. Everybody knew exactly where they stood with me.
And there's freedom in that.
Exactly where you stand.
You don't have to read between the lines of the tea leaves.
Nope.
And I think there's so much freedom in that.
You would think.
I vote to bring bluntness back.
And Brucifer.
No, I don't know about him.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gatos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.